swing them on up here.
Get them up. Come here. Ooh, look how pale that is.
Really pale.
Look how pale that fish is. Hey, fall fishing, Steve Horvath, Delaware River. I think it's going to be a good one. Hey, stay tuned. Delaware Valley Outdoors. Yeah. They're still on that crankbait.
Yeah, that's what the bite's been lately, Bob.
Steve, while we're taking the fish off here, you got any pliers?
No, I think I can get them.
Explain, we're fishing fall. Actually, it's almost November.
Tomorrow's Halloween.
Yeah, so it's late in the season, but the fish are really fat. I mean, their bellies are just unbelievable full of bait fish and stuff like that. But what do we have here? Do you need the pliers?
Yeah. Well, it's the fall of the year. I got them. It's the fall of the year. Like I said, it's almost Halloween. Water temperature is 59 degrees. And the fish are moving up into the coves and the creeks to fatten up for the winter.
And then they'll eventually move.
Right. You can
back
tell
out.
that, the fish that we've caught so far have been, a lot chunkier than you catch the rest of the year. And they even get like a little golden color to them when their fat content goes way up. Fishing crankbaits, spinnerbaits, stuff like that. The fish are pretty aggressive. And even though there's a tournament going on in here at the same time we're fishing, there's lots of fish to go around for everybody.
There's a lot of fish
Sure.
in here, there really is. And you said rock though, we're catching?
Exactly. Rock, it seems like, well, it's a fact that sun comes up, rock has like a lot of dark slime and stuff that grows on it, and it heats up the water quicker than other surfaces.
And it'll just attract them to that.
But we'll also catch some fish today, maybe off of some wood that might be floating up against some floating docks and stuff like that. There's been a few fish on that. But we ought to have a great day today.
Yeah, good. Well, I know I'm going to go switch to a crankbait. I know that one. Steve, you've changed over to a little jig. What for?
We did have a fish right in here that we missed, and a lot of times you can come back and catch a fish that you missed on a different slower lure if you hit a quicker lure. The other thing is for cover that's really dense like what we have in here, like all kinds of submerged stuff and floating stuff, trees, wood and stuff like that. You can get a jig in the spots where you really can't get
my spinnerbait or my crankbait. And you can't cast it really, you got to flip it.
Exactly, and that's what we're doing. We're pitching jigs up to it and stuff like that, trying to get this one fish that bit over here. Because like I said, a lot of times you can get them to come back. But different types of cover in here, depending on the time of the year are good. Like in the summertime, we'll catch a lot of fish off of these floating docks. You can take and skip a worm up under it, a floating worm or something, fish a topwater next to it. And a lot of times they'll come out and bite it. This time of year, and a little bit later, you'll be able to go around to the individual floating pilings in the river, or up in the coves and stuff like that, and take some fish off of them. Because what the floating pilings offer is, when the days get warmer and cooler in the winter, instead of fish having to move up on a bank and off a bank to get deeper and shallower, they could just come, up and down on a piling on the water column without ever really moving. And that's a key sometimes of the year.
And he came farther, right, not on the rocks, right?
Yeah, he was about halfway out to the boat, Bob. It seems like a lot of the fish have been that way.
Yeah, they're not really right on the rocks. They're kind of staging almost.
Yep. Little guy. He'll
Yeah.
be big next year.
Yeah, a little fat belly on him
Yeah,
though.
kind of looks like me.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Good fish, Bob. Chunky one.
Yeah. Come here, come here. Ooh, got barely hooked underneath there. Come here. Come here. Ooh. A little decent fish there.
Sure.
Again, what we're doing, nice little fat fish. Just fishing the tide that's dropping, am I right?
Yeah, tide's
What's
about a
happening
third of the
is
way
pulling
out.
these fish off of the banks. And that fish did came off, not right off the bank, but
About a third of the way
about
off.
a third of the way out. Boy, that fish is cold too.
Yeah.
They're not really aggressive. I mean, he thumped it, but not real aggressive. Let me get a pair of pliers here. Again, chartreuse,
Right, chartreuse,
tiger.
fire tiger.
crankbait.
Were you stopping and going at Bob?
Yeah.
Or?
I was. You had told me to slow it down a little bit,
Right.
and that's what I think happened was, I just started to slow it down a little bit more because I was moving it a little bit too much,
Mm-hmm.
too fast, and once I slowed it down, and then I paused it, that's when he slammed it. All right. Ooh, he's a pretty fish. All right, honey, let's get some more. It's about 4 hours since I took a fish off of this spot, and I just wanted to show you what subtleties it takes to look for when you're fishing tidal water. The water was up where you see the rocks, the high rocks up there, and you can see as we pan down to these rocks that are in the mud here, and what happened was the fish were just staging on those rocks, and that's where I caught the fish. I didn't catch the fish up in the high rocks. I caught them down on this lower set of rocks right here. So one thing I want to tell you about that is get down here at low tide and learn where these little subtle areas are. It can mean the difference of picking up a fish or not picking up a fish. It's fall, and I guess like at any other time of year, certain colors really start to produce more than other colors, and certain baits produce more than other colors. In a situation like we have today, Steve, late fall, what's the colors that we'd want?
Well, you can fish what we're fishing since the water's, pretty dark colored.
It is really dingy.
Yeah, we're fishing fire tiger, fishing a black and blue jig. But some other colors that are really good this time of year, generally like your shad type of colors. If the water was a little bit clear, I think I'd be fishing a shad color crankbait more today than the fire tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Also, baby bass is a good color, when the water's a little bit cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, you fish a bigger crankbait with a deeper lip when the tide's up a little, when you have to dig down to get to the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when the tide gets a little bit lower, you need to switch to a crankbait with a shorter lip, so you're not just digging into the bottom, plowing up weeds and muck and
Right,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So stage of the tide has a lot to do with what you throw.
Yeah, because right now the tide's dropping, so we can still
Yeah, we
get
can
away
still
with some little
fish
deeper.
just about anything we want. But with the fall, a lot of times the fish are shallower than other times of the year. They're up feeding.
Mm-hmm.
You see their nice fat stomachs.
Yeah.
So something like a baby -1, and only a couple feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good lure. Big O, the Model A, that Norman crankbait that you're fishing.
Yeah.
Excellent little lure.
But in size, you say just now. Of course, we're fishing some pretty tight spots, and
Right.
So you would like to recommend a larger size crankbait when the tide's high.
Right. And go to something a little bit smaller that doesn't dive as deep
Mm-hmm.
when the tide goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or else you could take the same crankbait you're fishing on, say, 12-pound line,
Mm-hmm.
and fish it on a heavier rod with 20-pound line, and it won't dive as deep.
That's true. You can
You
do
know?
that. And I'll tell you what, the stuff that we're fishing around,
Sure.
you need some. I got 14-pound on here, and I'm feeling nicks already.
Right. And the other thing you need to do is after every fish or every couple fish, check your line. Run your fingers up and down the line. You'll be surprised how bad it can be, and you
Yeah.
can turn 14-pound line into 6-pound line with one little nick.
That's right, and lose a fish.
A big fish. 'Cause
Yeah.
the little ones never get away.
No, little ones will always hang on there.
Mm-hmm.
Another bait that I was throwing, and I will start to throw again, is a spinner bait.
Right.
I still like to throw a spinner bait in the fall. Those
Sure.
fish are aggressive.
Right.
A couple of buddies we met this morning were catching nice fish
Sure.
on a white spinner bait,
Mhm.
shad color, any kind of a
Shad,
bait.
white
Yeah.
and chartreuse.
White and chartreuse.
Your Durstein River
Right,
special.
My
that you fish
money
all the
bait that I
time.
use.
Right.
But I like that too because it goes through the water
Right.
really nice. And the other thing we have a lot of leaves.
A lot of leaves, so you're going to make a lot of casts that are going to get messed up, and it's almost like fishing around a grass bed. You know, you just have to put up with the leaves, and you'll get the good cast in, and you'll get the fish.
Yeah.
The other thing with the spinnerbait is, you know, it's nice and warm, and you're still fishing a double-bladed spinnerbait. You're
Right.
fishing a tandem.
Right.
If the water temperature was down another 5 degrees, it's about 60 degrees right now. You know, you might want to switch over to like a single.
Right, a single
Something
willow
good
or
vibration,
yeah, Colorado. Or
reel
like
it
that.
slow.
Yeah, so you can really work it.
Yep,
real
match
slow.
the mood of the
Yeah,
fish.
Yeah.
If they're willing to chase, fish something fast. If they're sluggish, fish something
They
slow.
want to do it slow it down. I know that you had told me to slow because I was really moving this crankbait.
Right.
You had mentioned that you had said slow down a little bit, and poof, and that's what happened.
Exactly.
That's one thing. I guess that's one thing too that you have to adjust to what you're doing and how I caught that fish.
Exactly.
Each time you do it, remember how you caught
Right.
that fish
You have
and go
to,
back.
You have to get in tune with the mood of the fish. You know, you can be cranking like a maniac all day and not catch fish. And you talk to your buddy, he says, "Oh yeah, I've been slow rolling all day. My live well's full."
Right, and that's
You know?
it. So there's a good tip for you. Remember to, as you catch a fish, what you just did. Was it deep? Was it shallow? Was I fast? Was I slow? And then go back and do it again. Just don't go start wildly casting again and
Right,
go back to it.
exactly.
Remember what you did.
Was
It's going to be a good tip.
yeah.
Delaware Valley Outdoors has a newly designed website. While on the net, stop by our site, www.dvoutdoors.com, for the latest fishing reports, regional tide tables, and links to other great fishing sites. While at our site, check out upcoming special events, get the latest regional weather reports. Hey, send us a photo of your lunker and we'll place it in our scrapbook. So stop by our website, leave a message, or just say hi.
Welcome to a land of law, a place ruled by the dinosaur, where cactus-clad mountains spew lava and smoke, and craters hide inquisitive folk, where wise old turtles share their views on creatures with red vests and powder blue shoes. There's so much to Galapagos, so much we could say. 'Twould be most preposterous if it all went away.
What do you want to leave your children? The story or the place that inspired it? Phone 1-800-CALL-WWF and help leave our children a living planet.
I want to start investing. I heard about these new inflation-indexed I-bonds from the U.S. Treasury that guarantee a return above inflation.
Well, we don't offer them, but there's this new stock.
It guarantees a return.
Well, no.
Look, I want an investment that's guaranteed to stay ahead of inflation like the I-bond, that's safe like the I-bond, and will let me get started with as little as $50.
Like the I-bond.
Right.
Welcome to a land of law, a place ruled by the dinosaur, where cactus-clad mountains spew lava and smoke, and craters hide inquisitive folk, where wise old turtles share their views on creatures with red vests and powder blue shoes. There's so much to Galapagos, so much we could say. 'Twould be most preposterous if it all went away.
What do you want to leave your children? The story or the place that inspired it? Phone 1-800-CALL-WWF and help leave our children a living planet.
Fat one.
Look at how fat he is.
Yep.
Now, Steve, let's just talk a little bit what you had mentioned. The tide was still up, and you were kind of concerned the fish were still on this little flat, and let's get back in here again.
Exactly. Normally I catch the fish, you know, we're up on top of a little flat, and out here to our right, it drops off another 3-4 feet. And we had made a pass down the bank, and, you know, I was bragging about how good the spot is.
Yeah.
And, you know, the last few weeks I've been catching them here over and over and over again, and we caught nothing. So I said, hey, let's take a pass way in, and we'll give it a shot. And that's what it is. The fish, with the tide coming out, still haven't moved all the way off the bank. And, you know, this guy was up in a couple of feet of water.
Yeah.
You know, up feeding, he's good, you know,
Yeah.
nice plump stomach,
Yeah.
you know.
You hit it pretty hard, too.
Yeah, and there's your results.
Tackle Box is sponsored by Philadelphia Boat Supply. For more information, visit them on the web at www.philaboat.com. All right, Steve, we're with the Tackle Box, and the fall bite obviously is different from aggressive spring bites that we usually get and stuff like that. It's a little bit more subtle. Fish are feeding though, which you can see by the size of fish, the bellies were real full. Baits that we were using, I know you and I had fished a tournament a couple of weeks back, and this was the bait that it was hot, and
Yeah,
it's
we caught them good on it then. We're catching them good on it now.
good on it now. And basically, it's
a 6A bomber fire tiger. It's a deep runner. The only thing that's not stock is the hooks. I took the hooks off and replaced them, with some sharper hooks. But just out of the package, they're pretty good too.
But what makes you think that the fire tiger? Well, why was the fire tiger working so well versus? I mean, I had a shad wrap or a fat wrap on, and some of the other guys we know are throwing some other baits. What do you think that made the fire tiger? The size or the color? Or what?
Well, I think the color has a lot to do with it right now because the water's a little dirtier in here than usual. Because you saw the barge when we came in, they've been dredging. They stir up all the sand and silt and stuff like that, and instead of water being, relatively clear, like it gets in the fall, it's a little bit dirty. So the chartreuse type of lures help. Even with, the sunny conditions we have, they're still working pretty decent.
Yeah, and the water is dingy even now when
Sure.
it shouldn't be, really.
Right.
This is the colder times. So we had the bomber. This is one of the your secret little baits that we're going to
Not anymore.
to talk about. Tell me about this bait here.
It's a little big-o. It's the smallest version, the second smallest version they make. Again, switched out for bigger hooks. It's a little bit tough to throw on bait casting gear, but you do catch some decent fish on it sometimes.
And you downsized it a little bit. And it's
Downsized a little bit, and if you notice, it's got the little short lip on it, and the short lip is a lot better. After the tide's gone out, the water's shallower. It's not constantly digging in, getting leaves and all kinds of stuff fouled on it.
Yeah, 'cause this drops a whole lot here.
Exactly. Yeah, the water's probably 6 or 8 feet, shallower than when we started this morning.
I know this, and it's got
the rattles in it.
The rattles in it. And I know that has produced a lot. It's like what it called, perch color, I guess.
Yeah, perch color.
Yeah. Well, another bait that we did throw, and we'll probably still catch fish on it.
Sure.
Is you got to go to
the jig.
Got to go to the jig.
Anytime you're looking for a little bit bigger bite, a little bit larger fish, jig's always a great lure to use. That's got a rubber chunk on it, but you can fish rubber, or I kind of prefer pork a little more this time of year. But both catch fish.
And again, because we're pitching, we had a lot of pressure today where we're fishing. They had,
4 tournaments in one
tournaments
day.
in one area here, so we had a lot of pressure. So to pitch this around a lot of structure,
Sure.
probably be the bait that these guys are going to have to
Sure.
go to because
More of a stealth type presentation.
Yeah. And again, slow presentation, cooler water. What, we got about 60 degrees out here?
Yep.
Bait that I've been throwing, that I've been, as many people know, I always throw my go-to bait. And
Excellent choice for this time of year.
A great choice for this year. This is my Durstein bait, and it's got that fat willow blade on it, and it's got a little bit of chartreuse, a little bit of white. It's basically a forage too. It's It's got a little bit of that pearl color in there, flash to it. And actually, we were talking about it, almost throwing it a little heavier model too, just to weight it down a little.
Fish
bit.
a little slower, a little deeper.
Slower. But fish weren't aggressive on it right now. But we're actually back in Dredge Harbor and off the Delaware River, and with that, I don't think the fish are as aggressive for this. Would they be out in the main part of the river? I think
Quite
it's more
possibly. I'm still surprised we haven't caught more fish on it
really,
though. It's an excellent lure in the fall.
I'm
really shouldn't be overlooked.
No, not for this, especially. I mean, I'm throwing a white and chartreuse, but as far as that goes, white probably.
Right, and I think a big key in this dirtier water is the gold blades. They give off a little more flash. And especially to have like a two-tone blade combination, like you have the nickel and gold.
Yeah, I like that.
It seems like 2 different color blades to me works a little bit better than a single color blade.
Yeah, I know this works really good in river conditions.
Right.
I really like it. We had talked about lake fishing and river fishing.
Sure.
And one of the bait, I said this is the bait that I like in the river because it just seems to work so well. Let's talk just a little bit about conditions that we have that you're going to find and how to adjust to them. Early this morning, it was downright cold.
It was chilly. Sure was.
I still have my jacket on.
Mhm.
What do you look for early in the morning versus now when the sun's up and we've probably gained maybe 3-4 degrees water?
Sure. Well, when we first came out, the water temperature was hovering. Surface temperature was right around 57, 58. You know, now it's up to close to 61. And, you know, when it starts out cold and the water has to warm up a little bit during the day, you wind up with a situation where the fish may be a little lethargic at first. They may be pulled out and suspended off of whatever they're hanging near. They just may not be willing to chase. Sometimes, you know, a slower presentation, like reeling a crankbait really slow rolling a spinnerbait, or even fishing right on an object with like a jig or a worm or something like that works. And then as the sun comes up and the water warms, a lot of times the fish will get more aggressive, even to the point where sometimes by the end of the day you may be throwing top water and getting them to come up for it.
Cut up top, because even at 60 degrees is a great top water.
Exactly.
A lot of guys don't fish that, but
Mhm.
it's a good time to
Sure.
fish it. And once the bait fish start to get a little bit more movement because it gets warmer, I
Right.
think the fish get more aggressive.
Exactly.
The other thing that you're a big proponent of is, and that's heavier line. You like
Yeah.
to fish heavier line, and I would say you have to down here.
Sure. You try to match the line to the situation. I always have gone by, I use the heaviest line that I can get away with. You know, if the water was extra clear and there weren't a lot of obstructions, we might be fishing a crankbait with 8 and 10 pound line, you know, and wouldn't have any problems. But with the kind of situation we're having right now, you know, there's a lot of obstructions in the water. We're reeling at crankbaits and touching, you know, the line is physically touching a lot of wood and rocks and metal and stuff like that. So, you know, you're getting a lot of abrasion going on there.
Yeah, we're just moving around here. You know what? While I'm thinking about it, one other little bait that we talked about, and I actually caught a fish on this today.
Sure.
We were just chatting about it. Was the Jersey rig.
Right.
Again, I've done a couple of shows with them. I fished with them on Lake Walpole and stuff like that. But it's a good little bait for these tough kind of conditions. It falls so slow, especially when the water's cool like it is, that the fish will come up and get this. Now, I haven't had a chance to fish it too much today,
Right.
but I did catch a couple of fish on it, and I just want to mention that when you have something like this, go to a slower presentation,
Right.
pitching it around the docks, around the boats, slips and stuff like that. This might put that extra
Right.
fish in. I know these guys in the tournaments are probably dying for another fish.
Another
to fill
fish
it.
or two, right.
That's right. Well, I think we got to go back and catch some more fish.
At least
It's
a couple.
It's still a beautiful day.
Sure, it's getting warmer.
It's getting warmer. I might take my coat off. We get out in that sunshine.
Yep.
Hey, that's the tackle box.
Good fish.
Good fish.
There, bring that bad boy over here. Right in the top of the snout. That's a good one, Bob.
Good one, fish. Nice little roogie. Again, what we're doing, he hit that hard, you know it? Again, what we're doing, Steve, dead low tide again.
Yep.
Just
Crankbait bite.
crankbait bite off of these with these little big O's. That's kind of an oxymoron, a little big O.
Yep.
But again, dead low tide. We're right off of these. I need a pair of pliers here, I think. Tell you what, got some sharp hooks here, son. Nice fall fish again.
Sure.
Again, just right off of these. They just pulled off of these banks.
Yep.
Again, dead low tide. Small little crankbaits. It's a good one. Another chunky fish.
Yep. Out of almost no water. The sun's come up, it's heated the water, and they're up and they got the feed bag on. Another chunky one.
Yeah.
Fat belly
fat
to 'em?
belly. They are
When?
eating that little bait up. They are eating that little bait up.
Yep.
Again, that came just off that subtle little drop off over there.
Exactly. We just turned around and fired a few more casts.
Yeah.
Would you like to buy one of these?
I don't know. It's getting expensive. Let's see. Where'd he come off? Just out of this
Out here off of this drop that we fished by before.
See? There's more in here then.
Oh yeah. Swing him up, I guess.
I'll get him.
Okay.
Get him.
Yeah, he's hooked.
He's
Not
good.
too bad.
Yeah, bring him
I'll
over.
just bring him back around.
Come here, fishies.
He's got it right across his face.
Oh, there. Oh, don't you wiggle. Steve, let's just take a second here and just talk about the little subtleties that you had brought out about this spot that we have here. This has been some tough fishing, the middle of the day. It's almost 1 o'clock and we're starting to pick up fish. It is absolutely almost dead low tide. We have maybe 8
Maybe
inches
a
of water.
foot,
Yeah,
yeah.
over there. Tell the little subtleties about that.
Well, we're sitting on a little point here that you can see, and there's about a foot of water coming maybe 30, 40 feet off the bank, and we're only sitting in maybe 2.5 feet of water now.
Yeah, we're low.
And what's happened is the fish are right on the edge of the drop. They pulled off. They were up on this bank and scattered, and you really couldn't reach them before. And now with the low water, the fish are pulled out to where you can actually catch them.
And they're sitting right into those,
Yeah,
on that edge, and I mean, you are throwing a real shallow
right,
diver.
right.
Nice fish. heavy
Exactly,
fish.
and they're bigger fish
Yeah.
than the fish we caught earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's, you know, like we had talked about one other time. You go to a spot, you catch some fish, come back a while later, you know, the size of the fish has changed. And,
Yeah.
You know, this has been an example.
Yeah, and we were literally we just struggled to get out of the mud there just a couple minutes ago, but it's that subtle drop of just a foot.
A foot,
Yeah.
that's all it takes.
Yeah,
You know, river fishing is full of subtleties. You know, time of the day, tide, stuff like that.
and just that little drop off of here.
Exactly. And
'Cause
it's
we had
holding
fished this bank probably 3 times already
them
today.
at least 3
Yeah.
times, and we've only caught
Yeah.
a couple of small fish.
Fish, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now they've moved in.
Yeah.
Real good fish. Give me a hand with this one, Bob, if I
Yeah,
can,
bring him over here.
if I can get him in.
Let's see. Oh. Come here, fishy. Got a lot of crankbait in his mouth though, right?
Oh, I hope so. Nope, on the back hook.
On the back hook. All right, he's not too bad. Oh, come here, son. Oh, he's barely hooked there, Stevie. Come here, sweetheart. Come here, come here. Come here, come here. What can I say? Thank you, my friend. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. This is Steve Horvath, and this is Delaware Valley Outdoors. Fall fishing, Delaware River, crankbaits. What'd you catch that fish out of?
6, 8 inches
6,
of
8
water.
inches of water. You got to come down and try it. Hey, don't forget to see our newly designed website for the Millennium. That's got all new fishing updates, new things, products. You got to come see us. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. I'll see you again on Delaware Valley Outdoors.